Seated. We are going to start now. Have a warm welcome to the founders and hosts of DLD, Stefanie Czerny and Marcel Reichert, or as we know them, Steffi and Marcel.
We are overwhelmed.
What wonderful friends, creatives, curious, intelligent, productives, successful. Sexy, cool.
Yes. If you'd like to design or describe what is DLD and the people who come to DLD, it's the people who care for what is next.
Here, it's necessary to make new friends. It's important to go to people. Really, we want you to ask questions. This is the most important thing at DLD.
DLD is really a point where everybody from the entire world comes together.
It's a very, very elite audience.
It's like all the sort of naughty kids at school come to one place to kind of share ideas.
I'm looking forward to jumping into the crowd and mixing people together, connecting them.
When we thought about what is the overreaching topic for DLD this year, and we said it's uploading 21st century. Upload as the metaphor of the activity where we create reality right now. Upload to the internet.
It's a time of change. We saw major changes in the music industry. We saw major changes in the movie industry. We are seeing terrific changes in the telecom industry. We are seeing changes in the way the world is approaching creativity and innovation. These are the best of times, I think.
Sometimes you really can feel it on a day how things has changed. Never since Gutenberg, I tell you, have been any century or any year so full of suspense, really of Hitchcock suspense, what will happen next.
I think we're in the absolute beginning of the best of times. I've seen a lot of things. I don't think I've ever seen more new things going on.
That next year will be the first year that the internet will exceed television as an advertising medium in the UK. Sweden will be the first country this year.
Enthusiastic about this idea of free download, I put a whole book that I wrote specifically for internet in my webpage. I never ever got a comment on this book, meaning you download but you don't read. When people want to read, they are going to buy books. You see that there is no conflict. We need really to think twice about this copyright idea. Creativity is genesis, birth, divine force, energy, imagination, suffering, commitment, faith, generosity. Creativity has to be visionary, subversive, disturbing. It must be innovative. It must drive ideas and concepts. It has to question stereotypes and models rooted in time. Creativity requires energy and courage. We must have the courage to risk of being different. Creative people and providers and creators of content may have the key to unlock real communication, communication of real meaning that could change our life and the life of others with creativity and respect.
When we were seeing Titan, and we were one of the first instruments to see, it looked like black areas and white areas, and you have to understand on Titan it's always a hazy day. Okay, there's no shadows. So we could not use what planetary scientists had used for 50 years. We are unfolding the moon Titan and coming to understand the geological processes going on its surface. And that has been like a Jules Verne adventure.
He's a wonderful, wonderful designer. And it's interesting because the way he uses the computer is central to his work, but he uses it, at least in our minds, in a very ancient way. It almost looks as if he uses the computer as an extension of his brain.
I would claim design, in its principle, is not digital. It is first of all cultural, I think. And then secondly, it's something very physical. I like people to move around and kind of, for us, the work in the studio is an activity and something that is also, makes it enjoyable, building things, destroying things, and again, I have to repeat myself, it's always about something quite physical.
The first project is called An American Index of the Hidden and Unfamiliar, and it documents sites that have no popularly distributed visual anchor in the United States. So here we have a nuclear waste encapsulation and storage facility in Washington State. It's one of the more contaminated and forbidden sites that actually resembles a map of the United States. So it was sort of an emblematic photograph in the project. White tigers are the result of selective inbreeding, which is a pretty violent practice. And so it's mother to son, father to daughter, sister to brother, to create a white tiger. Most of them are born and killed at birth, born with severe physical limitations. And it's this hidden idea that no one recognizes, and it's celebrated in Las Vegas and in the circus and has quite a large price tag, but behind it is extreme pain.
But let's first start. Ken's going to talk a little bit about the Human Rights Watch and what they do, and then we're going to get into some issues like human rights and privacy and around the world.
Let me just start off with a brief Human Rights 101. Most of the places where Human Rights Watch works, there is no court to go to. The judges have been killed or intimidated or silenced. And so what do you do in that circumstance? How can you possibly defend rights, on the other side of the world in the midst of chaos or war or dictatorship? That's where Human Rights Watch comes in. These people, their job is to interview the victims and the witnesses of human rights abuse and to put together as detailed and accurate a story as they can. We then publish this on our website and most importantly through the press. The press covers our work and governments find that incredibly embarrassing. Because to be known as a human rights abuser is like being known as a child abuser or something. No one wants to have that be their reputation.
Two ways to put energy into the car. One is when you stopped anyway, you parked. It's a normal parking spot. You get an electric spot. You stop your car, you connect. You come back, it's full. If I go on a long trip, I go through a swap station, a switch station. It's an automatic station. I go in, the battery comes out, and a full battery comes in, and I keep on going. We're in conversations with 15 countries around the world right now. As we figure out that the system is ready to roll, we'll open up the floodgates. The target right now is to be in mass production in 2011.
Traditions here at DLD is the Anne Burda Prize for Creative Leadership. Anne Burda was the mother of Hubert. She was a great entrepreneur, and in honor of her leadership, we give this prize.
One of the things I think that this year's winner has done more than anyone else is enable the creativity of other women. No one has been able to do this more than Martha Stewart, this year's award winner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Katerina. I have the utmost admiration for the late Anne Burda. She was, of course, an icon, a visionary entrepreneur, and a woman ahead of her time. I am truly honored to receive the Anna Burda Award for Creative Leadership, and thank you so very much. I'm working on something called Marthapedia, which is basically my type of information available in digital form. And we're pushing ahead on that project. And it will ultimately be an organizer for the homemaker.
It's not fair to use a bug zapper to catch the fish.
The fascinating thing about animation is it only exists on this flat screen, you know? I can't say, okay, here's Homer. I mean, I can get a guy in a suit going, like that, waving in pantomime. And I think that's one of the things that makes animation so kind of fascinating and intangible, because it only exists on the screen.
In a time when computer animation brings us worlds of unsurpassed beauty, one film dares to be ugly.
The Simpsons movie. I think there's still a fascination for drawings that are moving, drawings that are coming to life. So for my money, it's not going to go out of date.
Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection may be the most powerful theory that anybody's ever thought of, because it explains the whole of life, and all it needs to do in order to explain it is, well, I think you can reduce it to heredity, because from heredity, accurate heredity, natural selection, Darwinian natural selection, follows logically, almost logically. And so the theory is very, very, very simple. And what it produces, what it yields, is very, very, very complex.
I'm looking at genes as the design components of the future. Last year, we isolated the chromosome from one bacterial species and transplanted it into the other. It's sort of the ultimate test in proving that this is the information of biology and dictates what a cell can do. This was a precursor to being able to now design life, build synthetic molecules by looking at individual genes.
What has happened is that genetics has become a branch of information technology. I suppose it's probably the major revolution in the whole history of our understanding of ourselves.
I was investing in companies and I had just become really frustrated that I felt like research wasn't actually making enough progress. So being in the biotech area, felt like this $30–40 billion a year that goes into research, we weren't getting nearly as much value out of that as we should.
So we came together. It was sort of the aligning of the stars, if you will, because the technology had really gotten to a point where it was arguably affordable for individuals, as well as the internet and Web 2.0 tools really enabling this to happen. We're using one of the off-the-shelf arrays that Illumina makes that is being used widely in the research community. So again, we wanted to be reflective of that, but then additionally, we went into the literature and searched for the informative SNPs that already can provide information back to our customers.
We launched the first full version of our platform in May of 2007, and that essentially combines three components. It gives people the ability to build applications and integrate them into Facebook. It gives people the ability to get really, really strong growth for those applications. And third, we give people the opportunity to actually build a business and to make money on top of the platform as well. And there's 60 million people who use Facebook, care enough about Facebook to actually invest in the creation and the development of the product itself, and the personalization of the product and the localization of the product.
The future is what we consider and call a truly connected life and work. The basic telecommunication infrastructure will be of utmost importance in making connected life and work a reality for everyone.
For us in the printed media world, for the first time, technology matters. So we really have to build capabilities to bring our stuff to the mobile arena.
what we are seeing is that we, of course, the web was emerging in the 90s. What we are seeing now emerging is, I describe it as a context-sensitive web. So context-sensitive web is sort of the web where everything is automated, personalized, customized for your needs.
We use human beings to write search results. So Google or Yahoo, they have an algorithm, a piece of math that says these sites are more important than these sites for a certain search. We actually use humans who look at the Google results or the Yahoo results and take out the spam. You have to be pretty crazy to build a search engine. But if you make it work, the search industry space, every percentage point of market share is worth between $1 billion and $2 billion, according to most estimates.
My passion right now is for a project called 192021, because I came up with that as a clever name that people can remember. It refers to 19 cities of the world that will have more than 20 million people in the 21st century. What I'm doing is studying the major agglomerations to develop a methodology of how to put down information comparatively. I realized there's only 5 ways of organizing information when I did my book, Information Anxiety. And they go under, in the English language, the word latch: location, alphabet, time, category, and hierarchy. The organization of information, or information organized in some different ways, actually creates new information and new patterns.
The increase in societal complexity, both with respect to the diversity of lifestyles, institutions, of course, but also the density of connectivity between the various lifestyles and processes, as the major shift, again, still in contrast to modernism. So this is here's a kind of sketch master plan, which is more complex and more rich of potential and differentiation than an usual urban grid. And we kind of fit the block, just a typical urban block, into that system and make it adapt. And integrating to a lot of complex context. There's a big range of scales. And then again here, these techniques which allow you to set up a system and allow it to adapt to an urban fabric, to make fit, to make continuous, and to have a rhythm of differentiation, which I think is easy to navigate.
But since we are architects and not marketing people, we thought it might be more interesting to actually redesign Denmark. What if we could actually skip Rotterdam and then concentrate all our industrial harbors into a strategically located super harbor? So basically the super harbor would sort of suck in all industrial and harbor-related activities, and as a consequence, free all of the Danish cities. And if you take all the liberated waterfronts and like line them up, they would constitute 120 kilometers of urban coastline, more than 25 times the length of Copacabana.
If I just go back to the history of glam, it was a very simple idea. The simple question was, what would it take for brand advertisers to really act on the internet in ways they are used to in traditional print as well as broadcast media? Glam is slightly different from this business model because we jumped ahead into the future and asked ourselves the question, what is the definition of a media company on the internet going forward? And what we realized was we couldn't use any media company, traditional media company, as an example. There will be a new breed of media networks like NBC, CBS's, or the Birdas of the world in the internet that understand that premium packaging is very, very critical to do on the web. And when done right, you're really actually changing brand influence, which is what the brand advertisers want.
I wish you a lot of good talks, find fresh money, fresh ideas, fresh combinations. Bon appetit.
The English conductor is so beautiful because it says something about each and every one of us sitting in this room. We are all sharing the same interests, or obviously enjoying the same things together. So each and every one is a conductor. And more. Perfect. Thank you.
A panel with these guests and with these themes, like what the future of television will look like. What would you say about how critical is content to the success of Just?
It's key, right? Because it doesn't matter how cool, innovative features of technology platform or how cool it looks. If there's not great content, people will not be there. It's not about you watching whatever the latest episode of your favorite show. Content that maybe is too just narrow to be shown on TV, for example.
YouTube is not the starting position or starting platform for the future of television?
We think that YouTube and Google will play a significant role, if for nothing else, as a beginning point for discovery of the content and helping you decide where you'd like to go and consume that. And it could be through many other platforms. We hope it will continuously be an open platform that allows anyone to participate.
The vision of Blip.tv is that people with no connections could create a show similar to a TV show, build up a pretty large audience, and make money doing what they love. I have a new favorite show. I feel like this show is a great example of how far this medium has come already in just a few years.
Monocle as a magazine is doing all the things that print should do today. It's collectible, it's bookish, it's something that you want to hold on to. It celebrates print. If you look at monocle.com, I think it does everything and complements a magazine in the way that a digital media should. And in that respect, I firmly believe that the web is not a great place to read. And therefore, monocle.com is focused on being a broadcast site.
We think about our geo projects as building a mirror onto the world. So you can actually use our technologies and use these tools to see a reflection of what the world looks like today. It's really amazing to think about one, how much content there is, and it's also interesting that in this moment, this is when search really becomes that much more relevant. Because with this type of dearth of information, that's when you need really good organizational and search tools to actually be able to use all of this.
You consult every major traditional media business in the US and here in Europe. So what's your recommendation for big publishers these days?
First advice is we ain't seen nothing yet. There's a fundamental change in the architecture of media and the relationship of us to each other that we haven't fully grappled with yet. So the advice that I give big media companies now is to stop whining about Google. Google is the one company that has figured out the internet. So the intelligent approach to this is to ask, what would Google do? The first is that you think about being distributed, not being centralized. So how do you become part of a bigger network and enable that? How do you collaborate with your public to do things that you couldn't do alone? How do you think like a platform? How do you become a platform? How do you allow and enable people to build stuff on top of what you do? All of this is about reorganizing our world, and media is utterly reorganized, and the first step is to re-examine our very relationship with the public we serve.
I'm a professional free skier and a base jumper. I was searching for something that would force me to feel. It was World Cup in paragliding, and I was invited to jump off a plane and entertain. We jumped out of the plane. I was flying with a camera on my helmet, filming the others. Then I realized something was wrong. My life changed forever. Luckily, your body has a capability of forgetting it. Now it's like it's almost gone.
Night's blackest beauty through skies, clear or cloudy. My only chance of getting known to the world as it is today without a promoter or big muscle major label behind me is to give away my stuff for free. My soul, my heart and my dream, I keep that clean from economical agenda.
We wanted to build the last music platform you ever need. Out of this listening behavior, what we analyze for you personally, we build up your music profile, and then we are able to recommend you new music you should listen to.
For banking and financial services, it's hard to track people's transactions. Luckily, the mobile phone revolution has happened, and people can afford this technology. How our model works is what you do is you buy a scratch card, you load cash on it, and you send an SMS to our servers. So you pick whatever merchant you want to buy something from, and you send a text message with the product code. They get a text message telling them your account has been credited, and you get a confirmation number. We are in the business of allowing people to be able to trade more easily than they currently have been.
We were there, we looked at the companies like emerging ones, young companies. It's a perfect entrepreneurial spirit, yeah, and we decided to set up a fund, yeah, investing especially into financial companies, because this is really a big market. Rwanda has a 20-year business plan. So this is why I personally, of course, believe that Rwanda itself will be one of the best evolving countries, and Africa as a continent.
This was Sony's big announcement at CES this year. It's a robotic Bluetooth speaker. Why anybody would make this, I don't know. Hi. This is your portable video conferencing system.
This is the smallest full-featured laptop that it can run Vista on it. Nothing else can, I think. Let me explain the brilliance of this device. It's the ultimate iPod extension for... It doesn't do anything for me, let's put it that way. Okay? But what you can do is rhythmically, musically... Yes, exactly.
I read about a guy called Little Poison who's making about $100,000 a week from harvesting money on World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I used to play World of Warcraft, but I got so addicted I had to quit. When I quit, I deleted my characters, but I could have sold them.
For real money?
Yeah.
What's the current rate on World of Warcraft?
The highest level is level 70, and you can sell a level 70 character for $700.
I found people and ideas who change or will change our society, our business, our economy, the world a little bit. And that's it. People who you think, wow, They have passion, they have energy, they have vision.
I think we got more quality people, more interesting people. In Germany, there's a word Zukunftsmusik. You know, music has to be composed. We are the composers of DLD.
Beneath the ton of rock, a diamond knows the spark. For ages yet to come.